the low Democrat ratings and the liberal camouflage of the left. Man, we're gonna go over this wonderful piece by Legal Insurrection. They talk about recognizing the Marxist, socialist, and communist policies that are being trumpeted as liberal is the first step towards their rejection. So I'm gonna cover this entire article, wonderful article. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account. All right, so let's get into this news. Again, this comes from Legal Insurrection. And they report that the record low recent ratings of the Democrat Party are long overdue and should not have come as a surprise for anyone except its most fervent supporters. For decades, the radical socialist elements within the Democrats had been gaining ever increasing influence over the classically liberal and moderate voices, an influence that culminated during the Obama's and Biden's presidencies. A major reason for allowing this influence to permeate major governments, cultural and corporate institutions has been the liberal camouflage of the left, and not really liberals. It's not really liberals. But Dennis Prager, he remarked, the greatest reason for the existential threat to America posed by the woke, the progressive, the left is that liberals vote for them. If liberals voted for their values, the left-wing destruction of every American institution, the American Medical Association, and medical profession generally, the universities, high school, and elementary schools, and the military, among many others, could not happen. This is the American tragedy in a nutshell. The left votes its values. The right votes its values. Liberals do not vote their values. Liberalism has almost nothing in common with leftism, yet virtually every liberal votes for the left. And that's true. It makes no sense that this is happening, but it's absolutely true. This is for the most part, because I used to be a liberal at one point until I noticed that all liberals tend to be leftists like that. But I love fish, and I can't. This is what the reporter says. The reporter says they love fish and can eat salmon in different forms nearly every day. One enchanted evening, my family and I visited our favorite tavern, and I ordered grilled salmon as usual. Let me make a suggestion. Intervened the restaurant owner, an eccentric erudite who had befriended us as loyal patrons. Why don't you try the mahi mahi instead? I love learning new etymology, so I inquired if mahi mahi was a Hawaiian word and what it meant. Quote, funny you should ask, he winked, pulling up a chair to join us. The English word for mahi mahi is dolphin fish. This is a fish that resembles a dolphin's shape. It is, of course, a completely different species. This was made crystal clear on restaurant menus, but to no avail. When people saw the word dolphin, a red blinking light exploded in their minds. They instantly discarded the fish part of the dolphin fish and ignored the scientific explanation of why it was a plain old fish. Children would cry inconsolably. Even adults would wince at the thought of eating the intelligent and friendly mammals. No amount of explaining would persuade customers to order dolphin fish. They began to demonize the restaurants that served it. Our friend continued. Then restaurant managers came up with a brilliant solution. They called the fish by its original Hawaiian name, mahi mahi. Suddenly business boomed, and as people began to enjoy this tropical delicacy and do so to this day. Wow, I never heard that story before. Wow. That's amazing. When we change the problematic word, the problem magically disappears. When the American left started calling itself liberal and its opponents fascists, it managed to manipulate millions regarding the radical nature of its policies. The historic 2024 elections revealed a political realignment whereby conservatives were joined by classical liberals, libertarians, and a widely represented group of people simply wanted a return to sanity. It is essential to safeguard and even broaden this coalition in order to secure the preservation of American ideals beyond the next administration. Linguistic knowledge can help in the effort by clarifying the confusion around key terms such as left, right, socialist, liberal, and conservative. At the heart of this confusion stands the leftist takeover of liberal terminology. Many people use liberal as synonymous with socialist, but these two terms denote two rather different, in fact, opposite value systems. The term left and right harken back to the French Revolution, when proponents of the old regime sat at the president's right in the National Assembly and the supporters of the revolution on his left. This arrangement changed from time to time. Left and right makes sense historically, but can also be confusing, especially when discussed in their perceived radical versions. Communism is frequently termed a radical left-wing ideology, and Nazism a radical right-wing ideology. But these monstrous systems are two sides of the same coin of totalitarian socialism. That's an absolute fact. If right means authoritarianism and left democratic, then communism should be right-wing, as it has eliminated freedom and democracy wherever it has been tried. There are authoritarians and libertarians, both right and left, on the spectrum. So this distinction is unhelpful. If right means traditional and individualistic, and left radical and collectivist, then National Socialism is clearly left, as it rejects individualism and Western traditions. Fascism and National Socialism are collectivists and socialists. Ayn Rand famously noted that racism is the lowest, most crudely primitive form of collectivism. When we discuss normal components of Western politics, it makes better sense to distinguish between classically liberal and conservative attitudes. Now, totalitarian socialist concepts have no place in this normal political dichotomy. Conservative, from Latin conservo, to preserve, means preserving tradition, and liberal, from Latin liberalis, means pertaining to freedom or a free person, generous. Both conservatism and liberalism support individual liberty and free enterprise, but conservatism emphasizes tradition, faith, and moral obligation, while liberalism focuses on the freedom to act as we choose, as long as we respect the rights of others. Socialism, on the other hand, sacrifices individual rights in the name of some vague public good. Pol Pot cynically remarked regarding the victims of his brutal communist policies. He said, quote, "Since he is of no use anymore, there is no gain if he lives and no loss if he dies. Once we surrender our innate right to life, liberty, property, religion, and the pursuit of happiness, there is no telling how far a government would go in limiting and eventually eliminating these rights, regardless of how notable its intentions might seem. Socialism deserves from the Latin adjective socialist. Socialism derives from the Latin adjective socialist, which comes from the noun socius, meaning partner, comrade. Both Nazis and communists refer to themselves as party comrade. The term socialism is associated with Henri de Saint-Simon, who advocated shared ownership of resources. He contrasted socialism with the philosophy of liberalism, which focused on innate individual rights. Saint Simon and other like-minded French writers conceived of socialism as an authoritarian reorganization of society meant to counteract the liberalism of the French Revolution. Already in 1848, Alexis de Tocqueville eloquently summarized the contrast between liberal democracy and socialism. Democracy extends the sphere of individual independence. Socialism restricts it. Democracy gives all possible value to each man. Socialism makes man an agent, an instrument, a number. The legendary economist F.A. Hayek pinpointed the appropriation of the term liberal by the American left. He said, it has been part of the camouflage of leftist movements in the country, helped by the muddleheadedness of many who really believe in liberty. That liberal has come to mean the advocacy of almost every kind of government control, which is totally opposite of, I should point out, totally opposite of what liberal really means. It goes on to say, I am still puzzled why those in the United States who truly believe in liberty should not only have allowed the left to appropriate this almost indispensable term, but should even have assisted by beginning to use it themselves as a term of opprobrium. Wow. That makes me don't even want to use the term liberal anymore, knowing this. Wow. This is why I thought this article was so important here. Reclaiming the term liberalism in favor of its original classical meaning can help expose the illiberal essence of popular leftist policies that are camouflaged under its name. It can deter actual liberals from enabling a socialist agenda to radically transform America and abolish Western tradition. Those who consciously promote this agenda are very few, though disproportionately vociferous. They rely on appropriating positive terminology from the liberal political discourse in order to attract the massive following they unjustly enjoy. They use this again. They use the ignorance against the people, not knowing what liberalism really means. But recognizing the Marxist, socialist, and communist policies that are being trumpeted as liberal is the first step towards their rejection. Raising a widespread awareness of their totalitarian nature could persuade some American liberals to support a political group that better reflects their principles, as it particularly happened in the 2024 elections. It could gradually ameliorate the current destruction political climate. It could restore a common sense equilibrium between classical, liberal, and conservative viewpoints and ensure a lasting revival of American values. Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful article here. We need to take back that word. We need to define it. We need to let people know what liberalism really means and how the leftists took over that word and turned it into this totalitarian thing, when even most people that consider themselves liberal believe in this individual thing, this individualistic ideals that both conservatives and classic liberals have together. We can use this to come together and fight back against this deep state that we've been fighting back against. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.